When it comes to my last video, that video was about me targeting all the anti-smarks who overused the word, oh, he's a mid-carder. I had to shut down that goddamn narrative. When it comes to this video, I want to target all the smart marks who overuse the word buried or burial. Knowing damn well you don't know what it means. You just cry every time your favorite wrestler loses. That's not a goddamn burial. Let me tell you what a goddamn burial is. Let's talk about Powerhouse Hobbs, right? Let's talk about Will Hobbs. His first match on AEW TV, I think it was against Orange Cassidy. This dude lost in like 7 seconds, right? Everybody's excuse was, oh, he was a local jobber. He was a local enhancement talent. That's not the point. A guy of that size is not supposed to be getting buried by a guy that's like, what, 170 if he's lucky? In a real life, see, that's why people don't take wrestling seriously. They don't. I don't care if it's scripted, man. You gotta make wrestling look real. That's fake, man. I don't give a fuck. That's fake. You can't have a guy who looks like Cassidy beating Hobbs. I don't care if Hobbs is a jobber. I don't care. Why couldn't Cassidy beat a guy that looks like him? A goddamn bland dude. But the reason I brought up Hobbs is some idiot, some dumbass tried to say, oh, I'm wrong to compare Bron Breakker's rise to Powerhouse Hobbs. My God, man, you are missing the point. Fuck. You are missing the goddamn point. Bron Breakker is the future of the WWE. By design. He's the future of the company. He is a pillar of that company. That could have been Powerhouse Hobbs. That's the point I'm trying to make. So when people say I was wrong when I compared Bron Breakker's first match to Powerhouse Hobbs' first match, it's a perfect comparison on what AEW is doing wrong. Like, be honest with yourself. Look back at the episode of the goddamn debut of the new NXT. Nobody knew who the fuck Bron Breakker was. Nobody knew who he was. Nobody knew he was gonna beat fucking LA Knight. Nobody seen that coming. That's the point. People thought he was gonna be a jobber in his first match. Now let's freaking be honest here. If Bron Breakker was in the ONXT, he would be a jobber. Let's just be real. But the point I'm trying to make is, look back at that match. Bron Breakker versus LA Knight. He beat him, a rookie, with what? Goddamn 2 months of wrestling experience in that company. He beat him. And guess what? Freaking LA Knight, he had a title match on that same night. So really, he wrestled twice. His first match, he got beat by a rookie. He was beat by a goddamn rookie. Nobody seen that coming. That shocked the world. Cause I didn't know who the hell he was. I figured, okay, this is LA Knight, right? Big time star. He has a title match within the next hour. So why would I expect him to get beaten by a goddamn rookie? But he did. But that gave Bron Breakker a big name. That put him on the map. That showed us that company has high hopes for that man. Hence why he's a world champion now. That match was very telling. It was Vince telling us this guy is a goddamn star. He is a monster in the goddamn making. He's a star. Yeah, so why wouldn't I compare that to fucking Powerhouse Hobbs? So here you have Vince McMahon trying to build up young talent like Bron Breakker. That's why he beat fucking LA Knight. That was an upset victory, which made a star that night, who is now a world champion for that brand. Why couldn't Tony Khan do that for Powerhouse Hobbs? Why couldn't he do it? Why couldn't Orange Cassidy put over Hobbs? That would have been a fucking upset victory. Nobody knew who fucking Hobbs was. A star could have been made that night on Dark. But no, he made Hobbs a jobber. A guy of that size, a fucking jobber? Really? That don't happen in the WWE. When a jobber gets booked on Raw or on fucking SmackDown, they make sure that jobber looks like a goddamn jobber. So your main talent can look good in that enhancement match. Here your ass got Hobbs, who looks like a goddamn star. His ass got buried by Orange Cassidy. Only in AEW that happens, man. Only in AEW that would happen. That's the equivalent of Orange Cassidy one-punching Bron Breakker and beating him in fucking 8 seconds. Same fucking thing. Can you imagine that? Let's be honest, man. If Bron Breakker was in AEW, that would have been him. He would have gotten squashed by Orange Cassidy. That's facts. To me, that's facts. That's the difference. That was a burial. Hobbs hasn't done shit since. Let me get this straight. How is Darby Allin ready for the big time? How is MJF ready for the big time? How is Jungle Boy ready for the big time? And Hobbs ain't? Dude, Jungle Boy was wrestling in fucking bars before AEW with no TV experience. So why is he getting more TV time than Powerhouse Hobbs? Who is Jungle Boy? Who is fucking Darby Allin? Who is he? Darby Allin was a jobber on Evolve. And now he's a star now? That you saying that can't be Hobbs? Why? Because he's black? That's everybody's excuse. Oh, who is a black wrestler on a roster could be a world champion? I don't know. Oh yeah, Hobbs can be if you push it like you were doing Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy is the definition of a forced push. That's the definition of a forced down our throats. We don't want them push. You are forcing Jungle Boy on your audience. He's not ready. The guy can't cut a fucking promo. How is he ready? More than Hobbs. You see where I'm going with this? Yes, Hobbs, that's a burial. That's the definition of being buried. Orange Cassidy, he beat Hobbs when he was healthy. A year later, Hobbs gets beaten by Orange Cassidy with broken ribs. So damn, Hobbs can't beat a skinny white guy who's healthy or hurt? Yes, that's a burial. How can we ever take him seriously as a fucking monster? We have YouTube. That will forever be a blemish on his record. He can't be Orange Cassidy. A guy who looks like that can't be Orange Cassidy. Yes, that's a burial. Hobbs would never recover. You hear me? Never. All we gotta do is say, this guy can't be CM Punk or Orange Cassidy. Who the fuck is he? Huh? Yeah, so that's a burial. See, when it comes to you smart marks, Your definition of a burial is, oh, my favorite wrestler has lost 2 matches in a row. He or she is buried now. No, you are a fucking mark. That's what it is. You are a mark for that wrestler. That don't mean he's buried. Learn what a burial is. Let's talk about Cedric Alexander. Way back when Paul Heyman was in charge of Raw. This was back when Cedric Alexander was getting pushed. He had a beef with AJ Styles. And from what I heard was Vince McMahon lost total faith in Cedric Alexander. To the point where he purposely wanted AJ Styles to bury Cedric on Raw. To the point where Cedric was like he was done off TV for a while. Because Vince lost total faith in him. So AJ gave him a Styles clash off the top rope. And ever since then, Cedric was never seen as a singles ever again. Because Vince purposely wanted to bury him. Make him start all over. Because Vince felt like Cedric was a cut-in in this push. That's a burial. He wanted AJ to bury him. So fans can realize Cedric ain't that guy. Now, where's Cedric? Where has he been at since then? What, a jobber for the Hurt Business? Now look, I hate saying jobber, but let's be honest here. He's a jobber with a big name, really. At this point now, he's a jobber now. I'm sorry. I hate saying jobber, but he is a jobber now. Based on how he's been booked with Shelton for the past year, yeah, he's a jobber now to me. I'm sorry. So yeah, he was buried. That's a burial, man. Because he hasn't returned since. He hasn't came back. That's another example of what a burial is. Now, let's talk about Kofi Kingston. This is why he was buried. And guess what? It has nothing to do with Brock Lesnar whooping his ass in 8 seconds. It has a lot to do with the follow-up, what made him buried. In the fans' eyes, he was buried because he got squashed and embarrassed in 8 seconds. And the following week, he acted like nothing happened. He acted like it never happened. This dude had a goddamn smile on his face, tossing pancakes the following week, and he returned as a tag team wrestler. And him being a world champion was never mentioned for the next 6 months. Yes, that's a burial. They wanted to have him buried so we can forget he was ever a champion. The fact that the following week he acted like nothing happened, it was no follow-up, he wasn't crying, he wasn't complaining, he wasn't throwing a tantrum about losing, he literally ignored it. Yes, that's a burial. He actually buried himself. Yes, that's a burial. To make the fans forget you don't take the championship seriously. Because you quickly moved on to the next phase of your life the following week, knowing your ass got embarrassed. You wasn't trying to demand a rematch with Brock Lesnar, you just moved on. That makes you look like a chump on TV, which means you are buried. Kofi hasn't been the same since. He hasn't recovered. Let's just be honest. So that's a burial. Now, let's get on Braun Strowman. Let me tell you why he was buried. His burial started on Raw. This was back when Brock was the champion. Braun had a promo battle with Paul Heyman, but it wasn't face-to-face. Braun was in the ring Brock and Paul was on a Titantron screen. So they had a promo, and out of nowhere, Braun, this dude forgot his lines. The top guy, and you forget your lines. You forget what to say in a promo. That's not top guy stuff. And the higher ups, they seen that. They seen that he fucking froze up on the big stage. It's like, bruh, how can you freeze up in a goddamn promo battle with Paul Heyman and Paul is not even face to face with you? Paul is on a goddamn big screen, you in the ring. So how can you freeze up on your lines? I can't see The Rock, Triple H, Stone Cold, John Cena doing that. I can't see it. I can't see Reigns doing that. Having a total blank on a promo battle, and this is for the world title. Yes, Braun got buried after that. And here's why. Brock Lesnar, he smashed that man at Crown Jewel. That's why. I think Brock gave him like what? Fucking 5 F5s? Yes, people, that was a burial. That's why Brock gave him 5 F5s. So Braun can get buried and he has to start all over in the fucking mid card. Because it was like, hey, we gave you a chance, but you dropped the ball in that promo battle on Raw. How can you forget your lines? How can we make you world champion? How can you beat Brock Lesnar and your ass can't even cut a promo? You forget your fucking lines? Yes, he got buried. That's another fucking example. And don't give me that crap of Braun beat Goldberg at WrestleMania. Man, that don't count. He was a replacement for Roman Reigns, man. That don't count. And hence why he's gone now. He was a last minute replacement. And he had a very boring run as champion too. But point is, that promo with Paul Heyman, yeah, that got him buried. Braun was not the same since then. And I will never forget when Roman came back that following year. It was in the goddamn Thunderdome, right? Roman whooped Bray's ass and Braun's ass. And Roman said, I made you. I made you who you are. Which was true. Braun Strowman wouldn't be shit without Reigns. So that was a further burial. See what I'm saying? That's what a burial is. Now, let's get on Karrion Kross. Now, look, I'm a huge fan of Kross. Huge fan of him. But there were idiots of his fan base that were saying he wasn't buried against Jeff Hardy. That, let it fucking play out. They got a long feud going on. This is long-term booking, long-term storytelling. Okay, bitch. Where is he at now? See, I was one of the few people that said that man was buried against fucking Jeff Hardy. And here's why. Kross hasn't lost a match in 2 years on that brand, right? He was a monster dominant champion like Goldberg. And he comes on a main roster as the champion. And he gets pinned by Jeff Hardy in 2 minutes. And it was a fucking fluke win. And the fact that him being undefeated was never mentioned. Nobody cared. No, like, Graves didn't say Kross has been undefeated for the past 2 years. Nope. It wasn't mentioned. That's crazy. That's a burial. The fact that this guy was undefeated for 2 years and he is beat in his debut match by Jeff Hardy, a guy that hasn't won a match in months. He got beat by Jeff Hardy in a fluke roll-up win. The current NXT champion at that time, who hasn't lost a match since being signed to that company. But him being undefeated was never mentioned. It wasn't highlighted. It was just, okay, he lost. Okay, let's go to the next segment. Yes, that's a burial. And even Cross said it. Cross said because of that match, he felt like he was buried in a deep hole that he couldn't get out of. Yes, so even he knew he was buried by that match. I've never in my life seen that before. A reigning, defending NXT champion showing up on Raw, having a match, and losing. And this dude had a match with fucking Samoa Joe weeks later. It's like, wow, like, yes, that's a burial. For some reason, they never saw Money in Cross. And so they want to prove to Triple H that, hey, Cross ain't that guy. And everybody was trying to say, no, he ain't buried. Oh, yes, bitch, that was a burial. Because where is he at now? That was a huge burial. Because you are supposed to be champion for a brand, and in your debut match, you lost against a guy that hasn't won a match in months. So, on the Black and Gold NXT, you are a monster, but on Raw, you are just a fucking another guy. You are just another dude. Cross didn't recover. He couldn't get out of that hole. That's why he's gone now. I'm sorry. That's a burial. Another burial. What's his name? Fucking EC3. Huge burial. Huge burial. This guy had about what, like 3 matches on the fucking main roster on Raw? 3 matches. He was booked like a joke. Like literally, he was booked like a joke. I never forget, Braun Strowman gave this guy a fucking chokeslam through a table off the goddamn stage. Like, they had a grudge against him, man. I don't know why. They had a grudge against EC3. That was a burial. A guy who has that kind of look, and he was a loser on the main roster. Yes, he was buried because he couldn't recover. It's like they literally punished him because Dean Ambrose got over. Look, Dean Ambrose, he was getting over when he was facing EC3, and Vince didn't like it. Vince didn't like the fact that the crowd was cheering Dean Ambrose on his way out, and they were booing EC3 because they thought that Dean was getting buried on his way out. So EC3, the crowd they fucking blamed him. So that's why he couldn't get over, because Dean was getting over. Vince didn't like that. So Vince literally punished EC3. And that's why he's gone now. Because he couldn't recover from that. Once Dean Ambrose left for AEW, boy, fucking EC3, he was done. Because they were trying to get him over. Dean was, but the crowd did not like EC3 because they thought he was burying Dean Ambrose. So yes, that's a burial. All right, how about Enzo and The Miz? I remember they had a battle on promos on a Raw like a couple of years back. And The Miz, he was sent out there to bury Enzo on the mic, because around that time, Enzo was a problem backstage. So they wanted to humble Enzo. They wanted to put him in his place. So they had Miz cut a work shoot promo on his ass on Raw. And Miz, he crushed Enzo on that microphone. So yes, that was a huge burial. The Miz crushed Enzo on that microphone that night, because they wanted to teach Enzo a lesson. Like, hey bruh, stay humble, stay in your lane. That's a burial. How about John Morrison? John Morrison, huge burial. From day one, they made this guy a goddamn joke. I don't know why. They made him a comedy act with The Miz. He was never taken seriously ever in his comeback. Never. They put this guy in costumes, the fucking dripstick. Yes, he was buried. Because once The Miz left for Hollywood, John Morrison didn't do shit. This dude was jobbing to Karrion Kross. He was jobbing to a lot of people. He was jobbing to Priest. He was jobbing to Damian Priest. This dude didn't win a match when The Miz left Hollywood. John Morrison got squashed by Omos. So why was John Morrison losing all these matches once The Miz left? Like, why? See, that's proof he was getting buried, because he was on the chopping block eventually. For some reason, they felt like he was bland and average without The Miz. They felt like he was a boring act without The Miz. What's her name? Bianca Belair? No, she ain't buried. Okay, you dumbass idiots. She ain't buried. In fact, let's be honest here. Most likely, she's going to beat Becky Lynch at this year's WrestleMania. Bitch. That's where we are going to. That's where we're going. Bianca Belair, I see her beating Becky Lynch at this year's WrestleMania. So how is she buried? It's like, look, the only reason she got beat in 25 seconds is because they wanted to pump the audience and give us shock value, because they wanted to outdo CM Punk. And I guess Bianca, she was a casualty of war. But she will recover. And I feel like she has recovered, because she will beat Becky Lynch for that title very soon. She will get her revenge very soon. So how is she buried, man? Y'all don't know what a burial is. A burial is you get buried and your ass ain't never gonna return to that form. When it comes to Bianca, she will beat Becky Lynch for that title very soon. So how is she buried? Learn what a burial is. Okay? I'm done.